Here we have another quick video detailing the progress of the desktop game. The version of the game I'm going to be showing you is Inca Island 0.1.7. So after the game is loaded, the first screen that you should be presented with, the first time you run the game, is this language selection screen. And what you can see here is you can select languages via clicking on the landmass and also using this little menu down the side here. One of the things I need to clarify with you is the finalization of exactly how you want this presented and what the text is for this bit here. So each of the individual languages. Currently I've just used Google Translate for this, and this is something that needs vetting by yourselves. Additionally, I would just like a little bit of additional clarification on whether this should be Austrian rather than Dutch. The way the game has been set up now is that it can use individual ISO locales, so we can have both and or the other, that sort of thing. So for now, seeing as I only have English text in here, I'm going to stick with English. So once we've done that, we can click on our button and we get presented with our new layout menu selection screen. So what we've done here is taken the key elements from the mobile game and used those to define our interface. So we've got the same sort of Inca Island medallion up here, so instead of Inca's Quest it's now Inca Island, and we've also got drumbeat button rollovers, and the button rollovers are the same as in the mobile game. One other thing to notice is in this corner here we have an exit button, so if we're running the game in full screen we can exit quite easily. So I'm going to make a start by showing you the settings screen. So currently on the settings screen we have audio. Here we'll have a couple of graphical options, and down here we've got the option to view the controls, and over here we're going to have some generic options. One of the things I have wired up currently is the option to select between answer mode A and answer mode B. Answer mode B is the one which you are familiar with, where you have to click left and right to choose between the answers, whereas answer mode A is a multiple choice all on screen. I'll show you that as the game progresses. So another thing to note, that after first run you will not be able to access that additional language screen unless you come to settings and click language here. Okay, so moving on. So I'm going to choose single player game, and here we have our generic information. Again, if you could vet this and get back to me with any amendments before translation, that would be great. And here we have our instruction screen. Slightly different from last time round. This screen is now dynamic, so you can change the actual key commands here. So if you were to have your localization, you would want this as up, down, left and right. You can quite happily do that by changing the definition file. The same space, escape and camera. In fact, on all of these screens, every single piece of text you see, apart from the top medallion, is translatable. I will do another video shortly showing you how you would do that. So moving on, here we have our character selection. At the moment we still haven't finalized our characters. We're having a bit of an issue tracking down someone suitable for the environment, and it's looking like at the moment that we're going to have to produce those in-house. But what you can do is you can choose between two different characters as requested. However, if you click on Ginger, it'll be the same character as Fred. I've just added a cube so you can see that this functionality is working. So I'm going to stick with Fred. And here we are inside the actual game environment. In the final version of the game, we're going to wire this up, so if you do start the game from fresh, and or if you choose the tutorial level, which is something I'll show you again in a minute, that the initial interaction here, which I'm about to trigger manually, will be triggered automatically, and that is essentially this initial conversation with our counterpart here. So I'm just going to hit space, and we have our little bit of background information and the option to either have a tutorial about the controls or skip the tutorial and just go straight into the game. But seeing as this is the first time we played, I'm going to click play the tutorial. So we start with a quick review of the basics. So it tells us how to do looking and walking. So this is two different modes, and this is one of the things which I am polishing off at the moment, and feedback on this particular interaction from you would be very useful. So you have look mode, which is indicated by the icon at the bottom right of the screen, and when you're in look mode you can give this character instructions and you can activate things via using the mouse. And it tells you how to do that. And when you're in walk mode, you can move in the direction you're looking by pressing the movement keys. It tells you which these keys are, so W or up, or S or down for backwards, forwards and backwards. And turning can be controlled as before by moving the mouse. So basically we have here within this conversation information on how to actually control and do things. So one of the new features is controlling our counterpart companion avatar, this guy here. So let's have a quick look at that. So to give me instructions, all you need to do is go into look mode, and then by rolling over the icon on the bottom left of the screen, this will bring up a command menu. Here you can select which command you would like him to perform. I think one of the things which I will do is I'm going to change this so that as soon as you're in look mode, these commands are permanently on screen all the time. I think that'll be a lot more easier and user friendly, but you'll be able to see that in practice as when you play the game, and also in a couple of minutes. So briefly, we have 4 commands. These are wait, go, follow and activate, which he says sounds complicated, which I'm guessing some people may be thinking, but it's not really at all. And at any time during the game you can speak to this guy and he'll tell you how to do these individual actions. So I'm just going to have a look at tell me about go. So when you're using go mode, you can tell him where to go by performing a left click whilst in look mode. So that sounds a bit wordy, but in practice it's actually quite easy. And then as soon as he reaches his destination, he'll go into wait mode. So we'll leave this now, and I'll actually show you these things in practice. So select that one there, and he says at any time you can speak to him to have a brief reminder. So here we are in our new temple environment, Inca Island. You can walk around as before. So this is normal mode, and when you right click you go into look mode, and here in look mode you will see that you've got access to the cursor, and as stated in the instructions you can roll over this icon and it will bring up each of the individual commands. So the command we had a look at was go, so I'm going to select go, and basically wherever I click on the screen and when I'm in go mode, our avatar will walk to that point. He sometimes circles on the spot like he is doing there, and that's one of the things which we're tweaking at the moment. So I'm going to go back into navigation mode, and I'm going to walk down the beach. Now if I get a certain distance away from our avatar, you will see that he's automatically clicked into follow mode. This is so we can never leave him behind. So here we have our first sort of two-player interaction. I'm going to have to speak a little bit louder because there's a big waterfall over there. As you can see, when I walked up to that, it's told us that our interaction has started. So what we need to do is work out how between us, I'll just walk away from the waterfall so you can hear me, how between us we are going to cross the bridge. But before we do that, notice that there's a little help statue which was introduced in our previous example video, so I'm going to have a quick chat with that. So basically these statues are dotted around the island, and by talking to them you can also find out additional instructions on A, what you want to do at that particular time, and B, how you use various parts of the game. So this one here, he specialises in menu instructions. So basically he can tell us about our individual menu options. So I'm going to have a look at tell me about missions. It says you can find your mission via the mission screen, and the mission screen can be reached via the pause screen. It can also be reached by pressing 4. And tell me about the inventory. So again, similar information, and this time around it can be reached by pressing 3. So, and again about the map, this can be reached by pressing 2. So I'm okay from that now. And what I will do, quickly is, here is our map screen. This is one of the things which we're currently working on at the moment. This will be populated as we populate the rooms, because some of the interactions tie into the screen. By clicking this menu here, we can go back to our general pause menu. So here is our mission screen. Here we have a central icon which indicates progress, and when we're actually within a mission, we'll have some primary objectives mentioned over here. I'll come back to this screen shortly and show you this in action. But one of the things I am thinking of doing is shifting this primary objectives area to the left here, and then also having some secondary objectives as well. Basically, the way that this works is every time you complete a mission, the current mission, which is indicated by the yellow icon here, will turn into a diamond, and then once you have all the diamonds collected, you'll be able to open the treasure chest and complete the game. So, and here we have our inventory screen. This screen is also 90% functional. Basically, the completion of this wire up will be done when we get to the clothing interaction room. It's highly tied into that. So essentially we're at a stage now where all the GUI is pretty much completed. We're just waiting for individual bespoke functionality that comes in as we do each of the rooms. So just to give you a quick brief rundown of here, we can drag and drop. If I drop in there, I'll drop the item. On rollover, as you can see, I get some information about the item. So at the moment, you can see that the screen is here, but we can ignore it for now. One other thing to notice is that via the pause menu we can leave the game at any time and go back to the main menu by clicking this button here, and that's indicated by this one being yellow instead of green. And again, we can also revisit our settings screen. So, there's our brief introduction to the GUI. Let's show you how we would do a two-player interaction in order to get across this bridge. So one of the things when I explore the environment is I can find that over here, if I walk onto this platform on the ground, basically the bridge opens. However, as soon as I leave, the bridge reopens. So basically what we need to do is work together as a team, hopefully you can hear me over the waterfall, in order to get across this bridge. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to tell our character here to go and wait on this spot. So there we go, to wait. And what that does is that opens the bridge, and I can now walk across the bridge. So here we can see that we're working together, and when in multiplayer mode we'll be able to do this without using the AI. Now what's happened there is because I've got a certain distance away from him, he's automatically gone into follow mode, so he's left the platform, and basically that's caused the bridge to shut. So what I need to do is I need to stand on this platform, which opens the bridge, and I can tell him either by going go or by follow to come over the bridge. So I'm going to click on follow, and you'll notice that as he walks down the steps, our first mission is completed. So if I hit our mission screen, we can see that we now have a diamond in our first mission, and that we're on to mission 2, which is indicated by this lighting up yellow here, and we can see some initial primary objectives. So find a way to get inside the temple grounds is our overarching mission title. So I'm going to make my way down the beach, and as you will see, we're getting to the area which you should be familiar from our last demo. One thing to notice as we're walking around the environment is the use of three-dimensional sound. So as we got close to the waterfall, we had a very loud waterfall. We've got a general sort of nice ambient sound in the background, but various features such as this, when we walk across the river, you'll hear we have water audio and things like that triggering off as well. So, one of the things I forgot to mention at our last interaction was the fact that basically all missions and various things are indicated inside the environment by these little floating icons. So if I go into look mode and move the mouse, you'll see over the top of this statue we have an indication of what we need to do next. So I'm going to go back into look mode. He's still behind me. And I'm going to walk over and I'm going to trigger off this interaction by walking up to him. So here we have another conversation, and basically he's asking us how we can help him. So we're going to ask him, where is the temple entrance? And he's telling us it's just up those steps, and he's going to kindly open the door for us. So as we can see, as that happens, the door opens and we had an on-screen indication that we've started this mission. So this is the room which you will be familiar with, and again we have our existing conversation from last time. And he tells us that we need to find the key, and if we speak to him again, he asks us how we can help, and we ask him, as before, do you know where the key is? He says it's in the area somewhere, maybe the sign can help us. Okay, so the reason I've done that and I'm going over this is to show you that essentially what we've got here is the ability to load in different particular textures for things like signs in different languages. Currently in this version they're all using the same sign, but you'll be able to change that graphic, and if you had a particular piece of text or something on the graphic, we can actually cater for that. So the other thing to show you is this time around is that we've now nicely formatted this particular interaction, and we've got some larger, clearer text, and we have an exit button, and also if the particular interaction needed a web link, we can click on this button here. I've just added this in for demo purposes, and that'll open up a web browser and take us to a particular web link. So for now we're just going to close that off. That tells us our map's updated, so when we've finished the final version we'll have basic things that can populate the map. So on the map, if you looked at the map now, you'd be able to see that where we think the key is, just to make things a little bit easier. But as we know from last time, it's in here, so I'm going to open up here. And this time round, instead of opening up our inventory automatically, what that's done is it's just given us an informative piece of information telling us that it's been added to our inventory, the key that is. So if I go to our inventory screen, we can see that we have our key item here added to the inventory. So that's just to show you that things are pretty much fully working. So now we have our key. As before, I'm going to go and open the door. And we had a bit of visual indication saying tablets removed from the inventory, so we can see that it's not there anymore. And there we have another one telling us that our mission has been completed. You still there, honey? Yes, you are. So what we've got here now, I've automatically triggered it off, is basically you saw in the center of that screen we had the icon there telling us that's where we need to go to increment our next mission, so I've done that. And we've got a bit of a cleaner sort of conversational interaction this time round. So it's telling us we need to talk to us and select a particular quest, and we saw that we're now on the select a path part of the mission. So I'm going to speak to this guy here. He gives us, as before, a bit of background information. We can get him to repeat that information. We can say no, we don't want to do that. We can say let me think about it, or yes I do. So I'm going to take this path, and again as before we can change our mind by talking to the statues. But so I'm now going to go up to the door, and this is where we left off last time. But this time round we have a new environment and fully completed environment behind here. So essentially we can walk up to this icon here, and that's telling us that room 1 started. And up here we have room 1. Now currently what I've done is I've mocked out the full environment with all 3 rooms, and just to show you as required by this release that we can complete the game and do a full run through. I've just got empty rooms at the moment, but as I walk through I've got these basic triggers in here, so that's at room 1 completed. So there's room 1 completed, and we've got the indication over there for room 2. What I will do is I'm going to add additional statues underneath each of these so they can give us information about the particular room which we've got to do. So let's just have a quick look around the environment. The room's up there, but I'm just going to walk up here. Now, dotted around the environment is various things like this. Nice little bits of scenery, so we can add additional features and stuff if we want. So let's have a quick look at our environment there. Now, the other thing that these also do is these act as start points. Okay, so currently I have only wired up the AI capability to this part of the island, so as we do each of the rooms we'll enable our little guy here to follow us, but so for now I'm just going to tell him to wait here while I show you the rest of things. Okay, so he's now in wait mode. In fact, yes. So I'm going to head up to room 2. Basically what I'm doing now is just giving you a visual demonstration of how the environment works. So in here we'll have whichever particular topic we're running room 2 interaction. One thing to note is that the majority of these rooms have been wired up with multiple exits. This is just a singular exit one, but that means that we can do various different sort of interactions in there. So that's room 2 completed. We can see in the distance we've got our icon indicating room 3. So I'm just going to make my way to that. So we've started our room 3 interaction. Let's just show you this actually as well. So if I go back to the mission screen, you'll see that we've completed each of these missions so far. They're currently not populated with primary objectives because that's going to be done as each individual room is loaded. So we'll have basic objectives defined for each room. So, excuse my email, I'll just go back. So we're on our way to room 3. So here's an example of 2 potential exits, so we can either go out there or out there. Room 3 is completed. And beginning our final interaction here. So collect the treasure started. So once we've made our way all the way through the island, we'll basically get up to this nice little vistaed treasure area here, which I'm going to populate with lots of treasure and things like that to make it look really good. And we'll be able to collect our treasure, which I'm going to do now. And then here we'll be presented with some feedback. So, and then from feedback we're on to game over, and from game over we get back to our main menu. So one thing to show you is if we play the game again, basically we've got the choice here. As we play through the game we've unlocked each of the individual levels, so we can drop back into a particular level. One of the things I am thinking of doing is adding 6 of these sort of rows all on this screen, so basically as we play through each individual topic we can unlock an individual topic. So I want a bit of feedback from you on about that, but just to show you this in action I'm going to click on 2 and then I will start at interaction 2. If I quit and go to interaction 3, that tells us that our previous, so as you can see we can drop in and out and continue from where we left off last time round. So as a brief summary, you can see that pretty much everything is wired up now when we are just beginning to do the room interactions. We've got some AI control in there which is working, and hopefully you'll be able to see how you would play the game as a 2-player multiplayer as well. The temple environment is pretty much, well, the island environment, sorry, is pretty much completed, and all we need to do now is sort of polish up the graphics a little bit and work out some of the conversations. So each of these screens will be completed, tied into a particular interaction. So as stated, the inventory screen goes along with the clothing interaction. That'll also come in with the new avatars. The mission screen is basically fully functional. We just need to add individual text for each of the rooms, and then the map screen is gonna be the final thing that we do, really. Okay, so I just go back. I've just started the interaction, bear with me. So we've got this different navigation and command mode. As I say, in command mode I think it would be a good idea to actually have a slightly different GUI, so things are permanently laid out so we can just point and click on in various things. And so if we selected Go, for example, would have, instead of this red cube, a nice sort of marker icon to showing you as we move the mouse around where the guy can go. So click on there and walk around. So this is basically the state of things at the moment. Please ignore that. As you can see, we've pretty much completed everything that was required for the 10th delivery, with the exception of the avatars. Hope you like what you see. I'm going to sign off now and go and investigate what I've just knocked off my table, and looking forward to hearing feedback from you. Thank you very much. Cheers.